This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right, this half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, lots and lots of snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready to drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniel's, Crown Royal. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And of course, the pickle bar, led by the Barrels and the Dills. Indeed, as always, second to none. All right. Still waiting to hear what Yannick wants to do. Here are the notable draft decisions. Nate Biddle of Oregon is going to go back to Oregon. He's a good player. I mean, shoots the three pretty well. He shot 40% last year from three, and I like Biddle as a player. But he's going back to Oregon. The one that surprised people was Yaxel Lindenborg. Some thought he could be a first-rounder. Then some people thought he might be an early second. They weren't sure. He's going back to college basketball, and he's transferring from UAB to Michigan. Alex Condon, Florida. We mentioned on the big board that Yannick was ranked 47th. Condon's ranked 56. Landenborg 43. Biddle was not ranked. Condon's going back to Florida. Cedric Coward played at Washington State, was going to transfer to Duke. But he's 18 on the big board. He's going to stay in the draft. So he's not going to go to Duke. Milos Uzin, as we've known that already, he's 45 on the big board. He's going back to Houston.
Did you see that made Pop Isaacs transfer again?
Who transferred again?
Remember Pop Isaacs? He went to Creighton from Texas Tech.
Oh, yeah.
He transferred to Texas A&M. He transferred to Houston, and then the Uzin guy came back, and now he's transferring out of Houston and going to Texas A&M.
Tremendous. God. Carter Knox, Arkansas, going back to Arkansas. P.J. Haggerty, Kansas State, is returning to school at Kansas State. Darian Williams from NC State is going to return to school. He's 44 on the big board. So those are the ones that have announced what they're doing. And Tahad Pettiford of Auburn, Abdul Thiro from Arkansas, Yannick, Miles Bird, San Diego State, Jameer Watkins from Florida State, R.J. Lewis from St. John's, and Otega Owe from Kentucky evidently have not announced yet what they're doing.
I'm a little surprised Otega hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, he's not ranked.
Yeah.
Lewis is 71 outside the draft. Watkins is 68 outside the draft. Yannick's 47. Miles Bird of San Diego State's 52. Thero from Arkansas is 40, and Pettiford's 27, which is on that edge between first round where it's just a lock, you're on the team, you got a 4-year contract and the whole deal, and getting a second round pick where there are no locks. So, I mean, that's what they've announced so far. Jed Fish certainly created a little bit of a... I don't think he created a stir. I think it was just a common sense like very calm assessment about where we are, because I just don't think we're going to get anywhere in college sports until we have a collective bargaining agreement. And I never would have said that 2.5 years ago. Never would have thought it. Okay?
I mean, it is a lot of words that scare people with college sports, employee, things like that, and I get it. And but
I do too.
But you need to protect. I think now, and I think people are realizing this. You need to protect both ends. I mean, yes, the players deserve to get paid and things like that, but it's the Wild West stuff has got to go, and I don't know how you get that out of college sports without it being collective bargained. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum as well. A lot of that stuff in the House case is going to be fought through the courts yet as well.
Yeah. Look, but from the fan point of view, if you were to do this, you would then get contracts put up with the idea that in the contract, let's take a minimum 2-year contract. You got somebody around for the 2 years, right? It's one thing about the NFL draft. Everybody knew when he came here, Saquon Barkley was going to be at Penn State a minimum of 3 seasons. Okay? Because everybody is a minimum of 3 seasons before they're eligible to go to the NFL draft. You have to be 3 years out of high school. And this is something where, as like I told you, when I talked to a group of fans, and there was about 300 of them, as I told them, and I've told you several times on the show now, I said, look, how many of you pine for the old days when players stayed 4 years? And every hand in the room went up, which is exactly what I expected. And I said, well, because of roster retention and NIL money, you've got Drew Allard, Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, Drew Shelton, Venga Ioane, Nick Dawkins, Khalil Dinkins, Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, right? Zakee Wheatley. And it doesn't even include the guys that aren't 4-year players like A.J. Harris or Elliott Washington. You know what I mean? I mean, because of roster retention money, it says you have your wish. And those players, for being here for a 4th year, now we'll see how the season plays out. But they're going to have a place in the hearts of Penn State fans because they came back. And they came back for a 4th year, which many fans did not expect to happen. I mean, Singleton and those, Singleton could have entered the draft. Allard could have entered the draft. I'm not saying they would have been first-day picks, but, deny Dennis Sutton, he could have been a first-day pick or at least an early second-day pick. Yeah, Singleton, he'd have been a second-day pick in all likelihood. They decided to come back. Well, yeah. And that's, and fans like the stability of knowing, they may get mad at their player. I know he was a transfer, but for example, I'm sure Maryland fans were thrilled year after year that they knew that Talia Tagovailoa was going to be back. Right? But you're going to have to come up with some sort of system somehow, some way that works. Look, the athletic departments are not going to be completely happy with whatever agreement has come to. The players are not going to be completely happy with whatever agreement the two sides come to. Because that's a negotiation. You're not going to get everything you want. And the fans aren't going to get everything that they were hoping for, but they will get stability.
And honestly, I think that's been kind of the, an unintended consequence of NIL. Is the guys staying around? You wouldn't have retained this Penn State team in the other era.
No. You would not have.
And then, it goes back to the basketball tournament as well. I think that's why there was less mid-majors, because anybody that was real good at the mid-majors got money from the SEC, the bigger schools, and those bigger schools were deeper and older this year.
Right, exactly, because and that's one of the reasons why if you are a low to mid-major, scheduling can be problematic. Okay? Because I need to play a higher team, and my athletic department needs the guaranteed money, right? So, okay, I need to get my team ready for my conference. I need to play a Kentucky. Kentucky's going to give me X amount of money to play the game. That's good for my athletic department. At the same time, I've got a couple of players that are pretty darn good that we've developed here, and guess what? Kentucky may be watching the tape and then watching the game and going, you know what? He could play for us. Or other teams see them play somebody else of note in their own conference. And they go, you know what? He could play for us. Would Alabama get Williamson?
Yes.
Okay. Believe me, he played enough high major teams in November and December where Alabama looked around and went, he can play. Right? And that's one of the dangers, and it's a quandary for mid to low major teams. The quandary is, do I take the money which my athletic department needs? Do I take the competition which my team probably will benefit from? But do I expose my players where down the road I don't have them any longer? And that's always been one of the issues, where you feel like you're the one that developed the player and you don't get the benefit of having the player. I remember I always use the example of Andrew Rousey, who at Penn State played Marquette with the Hausers. Hausers in the NIT quarterfinals out at the Al McGuire Center in Milwaukee. And Rousey was a senior at the time. He played 2 years at UNC Wilmington, where he was a 1,000-point scorer in 2 years. He then transferred to Marquette, where he was a 1,000-point scorer in 2 years. But the UNC Wilmington people are like, hey, we're the ones that took a chance on him. We're the ones that brought him in. We're the ones that showed him confidence. He played great for 2 years, and Marquette ended up with the benefit of his junior and senior seasons. You know, quote, what did we do wrong?
You weren't as attractive anymore.
Yeah. I mean, what did we do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. Except you're UNC Wilmington, and they're in the Big East. I mean,
the way it's set up now, I don't know how the smaller schools deal with that.
Yeah.
I think that's, I think that's here to stay at this point, unless that's something that ends up being negotiated. Right.
Now, again, you may have the ability, like I said, I'm talking simple stuff like 2-year contracts. Yeah. But as I pointed out, do you allow within these contracts deferred money? As I pointed out, we're going to give you $12 million. Great. And while you're here, you're going to get $1.5 million a year. But we're going to take the rest of it. So if you're here 3 years, you're going to get $4.5 million. Thus, we will then defer, the other $4.5 million. We're going to then defer the other $7.5 million to be spread out over a period of time, 10 years. Or if you're here 4 years, $6 million, then we'll take the other $6 million and we'll spread it out over 6 years, $1 million a year. You may get deferred contracts.
I'm wondering, we talk going low major to major. I wonder if they could do a thing like they do with the assistant coaches in football, where you're allowed to, say you're at Bucknell and you want to go up to Penn State, you can do that, But you couldn't do the lateral move. You couldn't go from like Bucknell to Wofford.
Well, I mean, the transfer portal thing may be, hey, I'm under contract for 3 years, okay? And after 2 years, I want to transfer. Well, I mean, good news, there's a buyout. And that's how you can get out of it, but you have to buy your way out of it.
I just thought of a friendly alumni helping out a school to buy out another school's contract.
Right. I mean, is it possible? Sure.
Yes.
But you may have, okay, but a lot of those rules are changing. In other words, doing that would have to go to the clearinghouse, and the clearinghouse would not allow it.
You got to get the clearinghouse through the courts too.
Oh, I know, but the clearinghouse is going to live until it is. The clearinghouse will live until it is.
Did you see they won't tell the conferences how they're determining this?
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw when they presented to the SEC this week.
Well, the SEC, I think they gave data. What they did, though, is that they gave data to the ACC, and that 90% of conventional NIL, hi, I'm Todd Hummel 4, right, would have been approved. Okay? But 70% of collective NIL would not have been approved. So they did give their research numbers as to what the parameters might look like moving forward, as to what they would approve and what they would not approve. Now, is them not telling the schools, is that a way of keeping their independence?
I'm sure that's the theory behind it.
Yeah.
But I think some lawyer's going to want to know from the players' side, how they came up with this one's okay, but that one's not.
Somewhat.
Some lawyer from some player. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Some what? Wait, what are you talking about?
Shall we say a suit?
I mean, you're saying attorneys may get involved?
I know. It's a wild idea.
God, what are you thinking? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I don't understand. Golly, you come up with the wildest ideas.
I know.
How dare you think attorneys might get involved in this thing? Right?
How about even more involved?
My question is, how many seconds?
Yeah.
Right? How many seconds before they do get involved?
Depends if court's open on the day they announce the House settlement or not.
Yeah. So, look, we did not discuss the playoffs. I do want to talk a little bit about the playoffs for a moment here, because the game between Minnesota and Oklahoma City the other night, I thought was just a heck of a basketball game to watch. I thought it was a fun game to watch. I thought there are a lot of things about it I really liked. Last night's Knicks game with the Pacers was a terrible game to watch. Ay, ay, ay. So many fouls. Every time you turn around, somebody's getting fouled. Somebody's at the foul line. The game stops. It slows down. It's like, oh, my God. No flow to it. Right? And then, of course, ESPN pulled the usual blah, blah, blah. Right? Everything for ESPN's historic. Have you noticed that? I'm talking about ESPN.com. I don't mean Mike. I don't mean. But I'm reading ESPN this morning. I see the headline, historic. Historic? I watched the game. What was so historic about that? He had a triple-double. I've seen triple-doubles before. Magic Johnson had 2.5 billion of them. Right? Well, he had a triple-double with no turnovers. And it's the first time since the stat was kept in 77, 78 that I'm like going, see, that's what bothers me about the ESPN historic. That's why I'm just, like, I'll see the word historic, oh, yeah, sure, you don't know what historic is. They'll drag out some stat line like 8 down and like, see, nobody's done that before. I'm like, oh, my God, who cares? It's like, come on.
There's a Cespedes Family Barbecue is a baseball thing. And their Twitter feed has one of their things is they keep track of those when they announce them on they'll announce them on baseball broadcasts or somebody announce them those, this is the best, nobody has struck out 10 batters in 6+ innings with 92 pitches on a sunny day in April.
You're like, what the heck? I give them credit for coming up with stuff, but don't. Okay. You want to know what historic is in NBA basketball? Giannis scoring 50 in Game 7 to beat the Phoenix Suns. Now, that's historic. Okay? Like, you're still like going, hey, this guy is talking about carrying a team to victory. Yeah, how about that? That's historic to me. I got 2 eyes. I watched Halliburton last night. I thought he played a terrific game. I didn't sit there and go, boy, I've never seen that before. I've seen other people play terrific games. Hey, come on. When they do these headlines, and this is not just in sports, like, people have 2 eyes, You do have 2 eyes. You can see for yourself as to what impresses you and what doesn't. I thought Halliburton was impressive last night, but I didn't sit there and go, whoa, I feel like I'm watching history here. It's like, now, I will say this. When it comes to history, if the Pacers were to beat the Knicks tomorrow night, you know what that means historically? TNT's run is over for the NBA.
I was going to say they wanted to make sure last night to honor everybody and everybody in the production staff, so they might think it's over tomorrow, too.
Well, either way, I mean, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Whether it's now, Game 5, 6, or 7, for TNT, their run is going to be over with. Now, inside the NBA is going to go to ESPN.
I was going to say, they didn't get there yet.
No.
Charles and Kenny are both belly aching.
I know. Oh, no. And Charles kind of like poked. He's been poking ESPN a lot lately, where he's been like, come on, what was I'm trying to see what the heck it was that he said about ESPN grading players, which is about what I said the other day. And he's about how they're saying X is one of the greatest players of all time or whatever, or historic or something. He's like, oh, what are you talking about? And he's like, no.
I also don't think if you're not one of those people that are up that late to see their post-game stuff, they're sometimes on an hour and 15 minutes after the game's over, and that's not happening on ESPN.
Oh, that's exactly right. He said, don't make Anthony Edwards out to be the face of the NBA. He says, Giannis, Jokic, SGA. He says, those are the faces of the NBA. He says, what are you doing?
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you and thank you for your years of patronage.
May is going to be the month Sunbury Motors Ford saves you the most money for your summer vacation. We're bringing the heat with deals on the vehicles that'll take you wherever summer leads. Want to load up the family and hit the highway? Grab one of 32 2025 Ford Explorers and save up to $43.99 with prices starting under $40,000. Thinking about heading to the mountains or the trail this summer? Save up to $5,045 on 39 2024 Bronco Sports, starting at under $29,000. Or maybe you need something that works hard and plays even harder. Check out 16 2025 Ford Mavericks, delivering up to 40 miles per gallon. Wherever your summer takes you, Sunbury Motors Ford has the vehicle and the savings to get you there in style. Sunbury Motors Ford in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, online at sunburymotors.com. Getting families where they need to go every summer for 110 years.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And final half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford Kia Hyundai, best in new inventory with great warranties and also safety features. Terrific pre-owned inventory, wide array of it. They go over each one. It makes the buying experience so much easier because, look, your budget may be saying, hey, I need to get a pre-owned vehicle. That's what the budget says. That's what the budget says. And the service department that backs it up every step of the way. Quick lane inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all. At Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 to 15, Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports does a great job of covering college sports. Put out on X that LSU coach Brian Kelly says officials this week did discuss a regular season scheduling arrangement with the Big Ten, including adding a 9th game to the SEC. It would be 9 SEC games plus a Big Ten game plus 2 others. Kelly said, quote, "We want to play Big Ten schools." Now, for fans out there, that'd be fabulous. I mean, I think for fans out there, that would be great. I mean, I remember there was excitement when Auburn came in with Bo Nix. Night game, whiteout. Remember we had Peter King on the show, and Peter said, "Geez, Steve," he says, the atmosphere is coming right through the TV set. It's got to be a bucket list. And there was so much juice in the building for that game. Same thing when Penn State went down to the Plains. The juice in that building for that 3:30 game was off the charts. People complain about non-conference schedules right now. And that's one area, for example, Todd, where getting 4 automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC, you're not taking, quote, as many risks, such as scheduling a game with an SEC team in the non-conference that could knock you out of the building.
My argument would be Alabama and South Carolina had 2 losses, Alabama had 3 losses, didn't they?
Yes, they had 3.
And they were right on the bubble with the current schedule.
Yes, but if you have 4 automatic qualifiers, they would have been the 4th automatic qualifier from the SEC last year. And it was also a 12-team playoff and not a 16-team playoff.
I guess the automatic 4 bids. It's one of those deals where I think there isn't going to be a season where where they both have 3 teams. But there are going to be a season, or there's going to be a season or two in out of 10 where they don't have that 4th team.
Well, and in the 12-team playoff, the SEC wouldn't have had that.
Yeah.
Now, in the 16-team playoff, they may have had 5.
Yeah.
Because South Carolina would have made it 2.
Who was the last Big Ten bubble team? Would the other Big Ten team have gotten in too?
No.
Nah, I didn't think, yeah.
No, they have 4 in, with Indiana being the 4th. So that wouldn't have happened. You would have had to have had a second Big 12 team. So Iowa State might have made it. Okay, so now you would have had 4 Big Ten, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. Okay, the independent Notre Dame makes it 5. Okay, Boise State makes it 6. Now we're going to 16 here, so we're doing that. Now, how do you then fill out the rest of it? Arizona State would have been 1. Iowa State would have been another. The ACC would have to have 2, which would be Clemson and SMU. They both made it. So now I've got, 6 more spots to fill? And so I haven't even gotten to the SEC yet. So Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee get you to 13. Now 3 more. South Carolina and Alabama would have been 2 of them. They would have gotten this. They would have gotten the 5. And the question is, would Ole Miss make it 6?
Probably. I mean, I can't come up with another Big 12, another team out of the other 3 conferences.
No, you can't. Look, that's one of the big problems that the Big 12 and the ACC have, is that they're so top heavy that once you get past the top, you fall off. I mean, North Carolina struggled last year. Pitt struggled last year. Boston College struggles every year. Syracuse had a better year. Virginia struggled tremendously last year. I mean, Brent Pry had some good moments with Virginia Tech, a couple of tough moments, including that loss to Vanderbilt. Georgia Tech did some really good things last year. Florida State did nothing.
Yeah,
I
we know Miami, it wasn't Florida State.
You know what? Miami would have been.
Yeah.
Miami could have been a 3rd ACC team in knocking out Ole Miss.
I think that is probably what happens now that you say that. We forgot about once again, we forgot about Cam Ward.
Yeah, poor Cam Ward, always left out. But yeah, that's what. That's what you have to look at with these. You still would have wild cards. Notre Dame was good enough to get in. They lost to Northern Illinois, but then never lost again until they played Ohio State in the championship game. And so you do have to look at all of it. And if you're getting 4 automatic qualifiers, which we just did, because Alabama would have been the 4th automatic qualifier, then South Carolina probably gets an at-large for 5. Miami gets an at-large for the ACC. And then that opens the door. Say there happens to be another, Memphis has a year beyond words, or Tulane has a year beyond words. Maybe they get a second group of 5. I don't know.
Honestly, that probably all depends on how good Notre Dame is year to year, I would assume.
Yeah, and look, they'll get the benefit of the doubt of who they are, but no offense, but why did they put Clemson on the schedule? They put Clemson on the schedule for a 12-year run because they know they're losing USC. They need to somehow beef up their schedule. You can't sit there and go, hey, we play Army and Navy. Again, if Army and Navy are on your schedule, are you excited about the game as a fan?
Till it starts.
Yeah.
You're excited because it's the Service Academy a little bit.
Service Academy, that's right. Until it starts. Okay? And it's like, okay. Because I don't think the USC thing is going to continue. And if they now have to play an SEC team, although there'll be 2 teams in the Big Ten they'll rotate out. 2 teams in the Big Ten have to rotate out for a 2-year period.
I did read last week that some of the USC money is upset about that and threatening to withhold donations if they stop the USC Notre Dame game.
And they've got money.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I'm assuming it depends on the level of donor.
And Lincoln Riley doesn't have as much power there as he had at one point. Remember, Jen Cohen did not hire him. And she's the athletic director. She did not hire him. So she is not tied to Lincoln Riley. She wasn't, all right? She hired Musselman as the basketball coach, but she didn't hire Lincoln Riley. And she's not the one that put him in the Big Ten either. She put Washington into the Big Ten. She put Washington into the Big Ten. So she did have connections there. But, yeah, that's
I'm not sure if I'm Notre Dame if I want to play Clemson and USC every year for my.
Well, you got to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, look. I mean, you're not in a conference. I mean, it's not as if like every year Penn State had to play Ohio State and Michigan, and I mean they had to play them every year until they finally broke this up. Now instead of playing Michigan this year, they play Oregon. Well, okay. Great. Instead of playing Michigan last year, they played at USC. Right? I mean, Notre Dame's got to do something.
I wonder if that's the next thing that they make them do. I feel like that they're not going to want to give up that bid to an independent Notre Dame every year, just because they're Notre Dame.
They're not going to make them look. Notre Dame is in a better position now to not join a conference than ever before. Not only does Notre Dame have the ability to get into the college football playoff, but at the same time, they now have the ability, if they went through this 1 through 16 and they do the 13 versus 16 with 2 byes, they'd be eligible for a bye now, which they aren't eligible right now for a bye under the 12-team playoff.
I just find it hard to believe that nobody's going to get a bug up their butt about that. If they can give, I mean, it's just one school. I'm sure they can figure out a way to cut out Notre Dame.
I don't think they're going to cut out Notre Dame. No way.
But do they? I guess I'm just thinking aloud here. But do they want one school to have as much power as the conferences, which is fairly close here?
Oh, I understand that. But remember, Notre Dame has had a seat at the table the entire time.
Yes.
All right, so they've had a seat at the table the entire time. I think they're in a stronger position now to be independent than ever before. They have a TV deal with NBC.
I mean, it's one simple rule change. Only teams in a conference can qualify for the college football championship game.
I mean, and look, but they got where they wanted to go this year, right?
Well, no, I am not. My argument is not that you're right. My argument is you're right, and I don't understand why they let Notre Dame have all that power.
And you and I are in complete agreement on that.
Yes.
I'm completely in agreement with you on that. I've never understood why everybody has bent over backwards to acquiesce to Notre Dame. I don't get it. I mean, I completely don't get it. I mean, their deal previously with the Big East made no sense to me. Their agreement with the ACC makes no sense to me. Why would I don't mean from Notre Dame's point of view. It's brilliant for Notre Dame. I don't understand why you bend over backwards to have Notre Dame play you in lacrosse, or have Notre Dame play you in baseball. I'm sorry, you're either all in or not. This isn't a pick 'em and choose 'em thing. You're in a conference being a conference. I mean, you turn yourself into a league. I mean, the Big East made itself into a league. You had people like, I'll play football, but we're not going to play basketball. That happened for a long time. And Notre Dame's in, but, maybe we'll play Pitt once in a while. Right, the ACC? Yeah, we got the scheduling agreement. We got 5 teams that are going to play. I think they only played 4 this year, right, because of the way the schedule worked out. But you're like, what the heck? What kind of pride do you have as a conference when you make an arrangement like that? When the Big Ten tried to get Notre Dame to come in, Jim Delaney said it was all or nothing. And they got close. The Notre Dame Faculty Senate voted to say that they wanted to be a part of the Big Ten. It finally went to that Board of Trustees meeting, which ironically was in Ireland that year, right? And they voted, and they decided to remain independent. Well, that's fine. That is their prerogative to do it. But the Big Ten did it the right way. They say you either, okay, we're trying to do this, all in or all out. They voted all out. That was the decision. But at least the Big Ten did it right. I mean, bending over backwards for what? What, so North Carolina can play Notre Dame once every 8 years? Really?
What, the home and women's basketball doesn't excite you? It's always something I've wondered since I was a kid, and I get the national brand thing, but I mean, they have, at the point now, the SEC and the Big Ten you would think would have more sway and more power to than Notre Dame, and I'm not sure that they do. I mean, they do, but not as much power as an entity as they have over any other school. How's that?
Because they have, to their credit, taken the power of their name.
Yeah.
And they have people bending over backwards so they can have the power of the name on their schedule.
I guess it just seems to be quite easy to take that power away very quickly.
You can. Nobody's tried, though.
Yeah, no. I mean, everything nowadays, you get a backlash, but backlash lasts a week these days.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, backlash, it does. It's about where it is.
You survive. You survive a week, and then you've defeated Notre Dame.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's always the running joke I've had. The running joke I've had is in football, you're 4-6 on the season, but you win against Notre Dame, and now you're 25th. Okay? Or in basketball, it's been a tough year. Right now we're 10-16, but we beat Duke, and suddenly we're ranked 24th. It's like, hey, they beat Duke. They got to be good. They're 24th. No, they're 10-16. I always call that the Duke Notre Dame effect. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I mean, you could just be like North Carolina basketball, and just the sense that you played these games get you in.
Oh, yeah, this year? Yeah. See, that was the third. What were they? The third ACC team in? Clemson, Duke, and North Carolina. Was there one other ACC team that made it this year? I think they only got 3 in, right?
I have to look. I don't think so.
The worst year for the ACC in basketball in decades. And that used to be their calling card. Oh, boy. It's amazing how times change. The SEC rules the world in basketball.
Imagine saying that 5 years ago.
Never would have even thought that. I wouldn't even thought it was possible outside of Kentucky.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
May means warmer weather, the official start of the summer season, and the month that we want to see ya in a Kia more than ever from Sunbury Motors Kia.
Wanna see ya in a Kia. Sunbury Motors Kia.
Hurry in to Sunbury Motors Kia now and choose from 130 new Kias available. Looking for an all-wheel drive SUV with plenty of cargo and legroom? Sunbury Motors Kia has 48 Kia Sportages to choose from, and they start just under $31,000. There's 29 2025 models and 12 2026 models on their way. Plus, SMC has 7 2025 hybrid Kia Sportage models. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup, too. Every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Be alive in 2025 and make May the month that we see ya in a Kia from Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see retailer or go to kia.com.